Sagittarius, for the month of June, this reading surprised me because the energy coming through isn't about somebody who doesn't care. It's about someone who cares a lot more than they are admitting. I see someone trying to stay logical, where their emotions are becoming harder and harder to control. I see movement, distant, a journey, a decision that can no longer be avoided. And I keep hearing this message over and over. Something has been changed, even if nobody has said it out loud yet. In love, someone is realizing that staying emotionally stuck is no longer an option. And when it comes to your career, I see many of you standing at a crossroad where the older version of your life is no longer satisfying you. June feels like a transition month, a month where you are leaving one chapter behind and slowly stepping into another. So let's step into your energy for the month of June, my friends, and let's know what is coming up for you for love and career this month. Welcome back to the reading for the month of June, my friends. The person connected to you has been trying very hard to keep their emotions under control. On the outside, they may appear calm, practical, focused on their responsibilities, or even emotionally detached. But underneath that exterior, I see somebody who has been spending a lot of time thinking about the future, not just for themselves, but for your future together. Because the energy of the King of Pentacles feels like someone asking themselves, if I really want this person in my life, what am I actually doing about it? This person is no longer looking at the connection as a fantasy. They are looking at it as something real, something that requires action, something that requires effort. And that's very important because I don't think this person has always approached the relationship that way. In the past, they may have assumed that there was plenty of time, plenty of opportunities, plenty of changes to figure things out later. But June feels different. The energy of the Chariot tells me that something inside them is pushing for movement, for progress, for change. It's almost like they can feel the situation slipping beyond their control if they don't do something right now. Now, whether that action comes through communication, a meeting, a reconciliation attempt, or simply becoming more emotionally available will be different for every one of you. But one thing is clear, this person doesn't want to remain where they are emotionally at the moment. And that's because they are starting to understand something. The distance between two people doesn't always happen physically. Sometimes it happens emotionally. And I feel this person becoming very aware of that distance. The Six of Swords energy feels like someone looking back and realizing how much has happened between the two of you. How many things went unsaid, how many emotions were never properly expressed, how much healing still needed to happen in the relationship. And for some of you, there may have been a period where one or both of you pulled away to protect yourselves. And for others, there may have been literal distance involved. But regardless of what happened, I see somebody wanting to move away from conflict and towards resolution. The interesting part is that as they start moving towards you emotionally, fear shows up. Because the moment feelings become real, risks become real too. And that's where the Two of Swords energy appears. This person is caught between what they feel and what they are afraid of. Part of them wants to move forward. Part of them is terrified of what happens if they are vulnerable. Part of them wants certainty before taking action. But life doesn't work that way. Love doesn't work that way. And I feel June forcing them to confront that truth. Because remaining undecided is becoming more painful than making a choice. Now, here's what I'm finding fascinating, my friends. The energy suddenly becomes much lighter, much more spontaneous, much more curious, and that's where the Page of Wands energy enters. By the mid of June, there is curiosity, wanting to know where they stand with you, wanting to reopen communication, wanting to test the waters. For some of you, this may literally be a message that arrives unexpectedly. And for others of you, it may simply be this person's energy becoming more and more present in your life. But I don't see them being able to ignore the connection anymore. Something is drawing them Something is drawing their attention back into the relationship. Something is making them wonder if there is still a chance. Now, Sagittarius, here's the part that really touched me. Because the final energy of this month would be Eight of Cups. And many people assume this is simply walking away. But that's not what I'm feeling here. What I'm feeling is somebody finally walking away from emotional avoidance, walking away from pretending they don't care, walking away from old fears, old patterns, and old emotional baggage. Because the truth is, you cannot build a future while carrying the weight of the past. And I feel somebody finally understanding that. By the end of June, I don't see a connection that remains stagnant. I see emotional movement. I see truth becoming harder to hide. And I see somebody recognizing that if they truly want you in their life, they have to stop standing on the sidelines of their own feelings. When it comes to your career, my friends, your career reading feels like the story of somebody who has quietly outgrown their current circumstances. You may not have announced yet, you may not have acted on it yet, but deep down you know something has shifted. The version of you that was satisfied 6 months ago is not the same version standing here today. With the King of Pentacles, this tells me many of you are becoming far more focused on stability, long-term success, and building something meaningful. You are no longer interested in quick wins. You are thinking bigger. You are thinking further ahead. You are asking yourself what kind of life you are actually trying to create. And once that question enters your mind, everything starts changing. Because with the Chariot, there is movement. There is momentum. There is progress. I see opportunities beginning to move. I see plans gaining traction. I see many of you becoming more determined than you have been in a long time. What's interesting is that this doesn't feel like luck. It feels like earned. It feels like the results of lessons you have already learned. But I also feel a decision that cannot be avoided. There appears to be a path you are being encouraged to pursue. Yet part of you is still hesitating. With the Two of Swords energy, June becomes really important because I feel many Sagittarius standing between comfort and growth, between what is familiar and what is possible. And June keeps asking the same question. How much longer are you willing to stay where you have already outgrown? Now, I don't think the answer arrives immediately, but I do think clarity becomes very clear by the mid of the month, because by the end of this month, I see you emotionally disconnecting from something that no longer fulfills you. That's the deeper message of the Eight of Swords energy. That's the deeper message of the Eight of Cups energy. Not failure, not loss, but evolution. You are walking towards something that aligns with you, that aligns with who you are becoming. And while that journey may feel uncertain at first, Spirit keeps showing me that you are moving in the right direction. Sagittarius, June feels like a month of emotional and physical movement. In love, somebody can no longer pretend they don't feel what they feel. And in career, you are no longer pretending you are satisfied with less, what you are capable of achieving. Both stories carry the same message, my friends. The chapter you have outgrown is ending. And while endings can feel uncomfortable, they create the space needed for the next chapter to begin. By the end of June, you may not have every answer, but you will know one thing for certain. You are no longer standing where you started, and that's exactly where your growth begins. I'll see you next month. For now, go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you like this reading and leave me a comment. Take care. Bye bye.